The jury in the Philip Polkinghorne murder trial has listened to 7 weeks of evidence. Meth use, sex workers, the testimony of first responders, and the expert opinions of pathologists. In her closing remarks, Crown Prosecutor Alicia McClintock acknowledged it was a lot for juries to get their heads around, but said when the pieces of the puzzle were connected, it revealed Polkinghorne as a liar and a master manipulator. And it pointed to one thing: murder.
Crown says once you fit everything together here, you are able to be sure that suicide can be excluded. This was murder.
She urged jurors not to determine the case on risk factors, statistics and probabilities regarding suicide.
There is an arrogance in Dr. Polkinghorne, I suggest, that you should not underestimate. The Crown case is that he has taken his wife's life and he has blamed her for it. As he blamed her in life, he blames her in death.
She restated the importance of Polkinghorne's double life, emphasising his obsession with one sex worker in particular, Madison Ashton.
His two worlds, the one with his wife and the one with Madison Ashton and the problematic methamphetamine habit, they were always going to collide at some point. And collide they did on the night of 4 April 2021. Miss Hannah's death was the result of that, but not by her own hand, by the hand of her husband.
She said her love for her husband was not in dispute.
She was not a woman who had given up. She was a woman whose husband was giving up on her.
McClintock pointed to other irregularities. Pauline Hannah, who always made notes, did not leave a suicide letter.
She left notes for anything. If you do anything for her, she thanked you and bought a note. Always notes, always notes.
When police arrived at the couple's home, they found Hannah's room in a mess, which the Crown says was evidence of a struggle. The top sheet of her bed was missing.
Suicidal woman, one of her last acts alive, she's become oddly concerned about sheets because the top sheet's missing. Concerned about sheets, but only one sheet. Makes no sense.
McClintock then pointed to what she said was the most important bit of evidence jurors had heard. This testimony came from Pauline Hannah's friends.
The single most significant piece of evidence in this trial, I suggest, is that Dr. Polkinghorne had tried to strangle Pauline Hannah before. She told her best friends, the Reardons, about it. It's a hugely significant piece of evidence. Why? Because Pauline Hannah died from neck compression.
She argued the pathology evidence is important, but that the case doesn't have to be proven on pathology. And she questioned claims by a defence pathologist that if Hannah was strangled, you'd expect to see obvious injuries on her neck.
But you need to remember, he doesn't want it to look like he's killed her. He doesn't want her to be battered black and blue. Questions will be asked. If he intended to kill her, thinking he'd try and pretend she killed herself, he's hardly going to be helped by her being covered in injury. He expected the rubber stamp. Suicide. He didn't expect them to go all through his house.
But in his closing address, Polkinghorne's lawyer, Ron Mansfield KC, ridiculed the Crown's claim that Pauline Hannah was murdered.
The phantom murder that none of the 4 pathologists themselves have been able to confirm. The answer lies in Dr. Polkinghorne. Without any training in martial arts, without being a big or strong man, he has with skill and grace like tying a surgeon knot, managed to kill his wife without leaving any of the expected telltale signs for a homicidal strangulation. It sounds absurd because it is. It sounds unachievable because it is.
And he likened the Crown case to the 1980s fictional TV series Murder, She Wrote.
A trial run by emotion allows our murder mystery fantasies to run wild. And what a blockbuster my learned friend's closing address was to you. Our own, very own modern day murder mystery. It was like a binge of every Murder, She Wrote, all in one session.
Mansfield argued suicide was the only logical conclusion, claiming this was supported by pathology.
The pathology provides the complete answer to this case. The pathology provides more than a reasonable doubt. It provides proof that she died by way of an incomplete or partial hanging.
Mansfield told the jury Pauline Hanna met Madison Ashton and knew her husband was seeing sex workers.
There was a very private and personal understanding between Pauline and Dr. Polkinghorne regarding sex outside of their marriage. And that was how they chose to live their lifestyle. And you shouldn't impose your disdain or the Crown's version of their disdain on Dr. Polkinghorne because you would have it differently.
He urged caution over Polkinghorne's use of methamphetamine, saying while 37 grams of the drug were found at his home, there was no evidence about how much or how often he used it.
His use of methamphetamine is being deliberately overstated by the Crown in this trial to somehow justify why he might be the villain and why he might resort to violence, homicidal violence on this occasion.
And he claimed there was a logical explanation about why Polkinghorne deleted WhatsApp messages.
Whether it be embarrassment, whether it be shame, or whether it be he didn't want to be judged by the police and or others around that, are all available explanations for why he might seek to delete those WhatsApp messages.
The jury are expected to begin deliberations here at the High Court in Auckland shortly.
Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. To stay up to date with all the latest New Zealand Herald news, click the subscribe button below or check out one of these videos. And head over to nzherald.co.nz for more news worth knowing.